Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
It's lights out and away we go.
Alberto's got away beautifully at the start of the great race.
Who's that got off?
It's Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Welcome to Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show, brought to you by ProKarts Race Centre.
Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside.
The ultimate pit stop,
The safety car is coming in
fueling your passion for motorsport.
with an emotional moment that means everything.
All of the latest results, analysis, and interviews.
Roar the drivers on to the final lap of this race.
I'm Jamie Lemura, motorsport enthusiast, historian, and media presenter.
And I'm Lee Harrison, motorsport professional, Sprint Master Karts race driver, and Formula One alumni.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show, and we've just come back from the Glitter Gang girls. And mate, how good are they?
Yeah, absolute inspiration, doing amazing things in the world of drifting, and it's going to be awesome to see what they have in store for the next 12 months. Only big things to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely, big things. So we are now into our segment of karting, and I don't know. We started off with what was a local four-stroke endurance race at Southern Go-Kart Club, which then turned into what was ended up being the World Championship, so it was termed. It started with minnows, and then all of a sudden, every cat and their dog wanted to have a part of it, and we sold out the grid, and the highlight of the race was lap 10. So, no, I'm kidding.
You give me props
kidding.
to make it to lap 10. I only
kidding.
made it to lap 9.
I tried really hard for weeks, mate, to try and temper down the I guess the expectations that you placed on yourself, because you were a moving target, let's put it that way. And karma came back in a big way.
Yeah, look, like I've said, sort of just misread a situation, and it bit me on the bum. Probably didn't need to do it on lap 9 of a race and go so hard and aggressively. And yeah, it is what it was. And I ended up spending most of the race watching and trying to help my teammates get to the front, which we did. Help them recover from sort of 10th or something in the early part of the race to get back up onto the podium. So at the end of the day, not all was broken. And as I said earlier when we started the show, like the beginning of the day with the 4SS medium racing between myself and Daniel Price was just an absolute barrel of laughs. Like I said, I have not had that much fun in a go-kart. Me and him were nose to tail, bumper on bumper, not putting each other out of shape, both showing each other respect. Like, it's very rare that you go too wide through the sweeper and still give each other space coming onto the straight to drag race down the straight. But that was great fun, and had an absolute ball. And like I said, there were some people out there that would have been getting a show of a lifetime if they were watching the racing, because we certainly didn't leave anything on the table against each other, and we had quite a bit of an advantage over the rest of the field as well.
It was good. I did see a couple of the heats because I think we were on just before or just after you. When I say we, the heavies, but. Look, I think what Southern Go-Kart Club... who'd have thought... let me rephrase it. Who'd have thought that the largest grid in South Australia for an event this year was four-stroke? The class that people like to sort of talk down on. And to get 72 drivers or 36 karts, some of which I didn't even know had four strokes in terms of the owners of those go-karts, was a sight to behold, and credit for Southern Go-Kart Club. They've actually, in a very short space of time, built a tradition and a must-do event.
Yeah, it's great. The Enduro has been around for a long time. Like, we used to do the 100-lapper, like, way back in the day, in the early thousands, or even through the thousands into the late 2000s, but to bring it back, and it's been growing and growing and growing. So you say that you're surprised. For me, I'm not really surprised, because you look at the grid last year. We had 17 people that were entered for the event before the day, and then on the day we found another 6 teams, and it ended up being a 23-kart race last year. So the building has been happening, and even the first year I think we had 20-odd go-karts as well. So I think the initiative of putting in the Pro-Am and rookie classes and the prizes for them definitely helped get a few more entries in, because it can be a little bit off-putting to have to go up against people like Daniel Price and Blake Purdy, myself and Ryan, Cody and Nick, and those teams of guys that should go pretty fast. It can be quite daunting. Like we've just had the girls in here saying that it's quite intimidating. So to put up that separate prize to give everybody a level playing field and something to race for was a fantastic initiative, and something that the club should be very proud of. Hopefully more people get on board with it, see how good it can be, and I'd really like to see a 2-round Enduro championship with an Enduro Cup presented at their festival estate or the end of year dinner for next year. So if there are any other clubs that want to make it happen, then get on board, because you can see how profitable it can be.
I can do it all three. Barossa, Monado and Southerns.
I think Barossa is probably too small with a track capacity of only 24 karts. It's going to get it was chaotic enough at Bolivar with 36 karts. It would be on a 1,000 metre track. Imagine 24 karts around Barossa. It would be chaos and a track that doesn't lend itself to a lot of passing.
Can I ask a question? What happened to you in Q2? So your qualifying leg, you're 11th place. Kart 55 happened to be ahead of Harry.
Yeah,
wasn't me driving.
Only because I gave him a tow.
So was it set up? Was it just you couldn't get a clear lap? Was it?
Nah, look, I think it was a multitude of things. I definitely was surprised to see that I was so slow, because I definitely I railed in the people like Ruben. I railed in him and Jacob Chandler, and I passed a lot of people early in the qualifying session to get some clear space. So to see that I was that far down, I was a little bit shocked. We actually lost a lot of time on new tyre. We put a new tyre on and we made some changes to go with the extra grip that we thought we were going to have from the new tyre. And we went too fast, so we lost a lot of grip. And so even when Ryan came in from his qualifying session, he sort of warned me. He was like, dude, he actually said it was too gripped up and it wasn't coming off the corner. And I was like, okay, at least I know what to expect. I'll try and get a lap in early. And then... yeah, I found it to be quite the opposite. I actually had no grip, and the reason it wasn't coming off the corner was because I was sliding everywhere. So in between my qualifying stint and the start of the race, we actually raced back to the tent and changed rims again. So that was pretty good job to get that done in 5 minutes. And I think the effort showed for itself in the first couple of laps, where I drove from whatever it was, 5th through to 3rd, and was catching the leaders early on before that accident.
Yeah. Well, it's we from our side of the garage, we went down a different tact. We knew that we weren't going to race for the overall, and we were going to be a long shot really for podium, mainly because of the weight difference between me and Ruben. What we did do was just work on making a really good race kart. So when we tested last week, exactly the same. Like what Ryan's saying, it was so gripped up the track, and I thought to myself, we're in trouble. So we literally had to just redo the whole go-kart from front to rear. And then I had a issue with the throttle in the first two heats of the day. And it ended up being half throttle. Cable had stretched, didn't realise it. So accelerators all the way to the bolt, really. And the engine's only still at half throttle. So once we figured all that out, come heat 3, it was just a case of does it feel good? Because I was starting last anyway, and it felt great. And I thought we'll just park it and just prepare for the race. And so our kart was lit in the race. Ruben was a bit worried about the grip, but it was a jet. And for me, it was a case of I'd rather Ruben start and us fall through the field than having to make up for lost ground later on down the track. So, and that tactic kind of worked. And then we were unlucky with the yellows and all that sort of stuff. And when you take all the time factoring into it and stuff like that, we could have maybe been 3rd or 4th or something like that in the Pro-Am, maybe, but which is a bit of a stretch. But it was just good fun. I was ecstatic that I got to actually finish the stints and was just consistent in lap time. And Ruben drove really, really well. We had a great time. So, finished, so that's all right.
Yeah, in hindsight, I think I would. If we had our time again, we wouldn't change tyres. It was, we lost so much time between qualifying and the race, or not even qualifying. My last heat race, I did a 48.5, and then I went out into qualifying and did a 49.4. So I lost nearly a second of lap time just in one, and just all we did was change tyres.
Wow.
So. Yeah, I probably wouldn't change tyres again, and we would have been in a bit of a different position.
I think also you had a lot of stuff happening in the background too that you kind of distracted with getting karts repaired and all that sort of stuff. So you probably you'll probably focus on too many things at once, and it may have distracted you a little bit.
I don't think that's a fair excuse considering the results in 4SS Medium. Like, literally, at that point in the day when we went out for the Enduro, that was probably the calmest that the day had been. Whereas the rest of the day, I raced perfectly fine against Daniel. Two heat wins in heats 3 and 4 against Daniel, and that was probably the busiest time of the day trying to get other people's go-karts prepared. So saying that had anything to do with me and my lapse in judgment in the races is probably not correct.
Well, it's nice to finish an endurance race and you not. I finished ahead of you in a race. That's great. The only time it's going to happen. And you know what the funny thing is, mate? We drew pole position in both qualifying and the random grid draws both times.
I did see that.
It was fantastic. The only time I'm probably going to start on pole all year. It was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. My kids are laughing at me in the background. So, but anyway, do we have results for the Enduro?
No, I can remember them.
Okay. Well, you can remember them?
I think so.
All right, cool.
First in pro was Wes Bowden and Braden Parkinson. Second in pro was Daniel Bowden and Leo Ianella. Third in pro was Cody Harrison and Nicholas Holmes Caravas. In Pro-Am, first was Jordan Pianazzola and Jaden Catalano. Second was Nick Torquati and Jacob Rhodes. And in third place was Grant Cox and Duran Cowland. And in the rookie trophy, that went to Tyler Craig and Chelsea Ogilvie.
Very well done. Very well done. I haven't even brought the couple things up myself. I'm actually trying to find the Ultimate Club Driver event today.
Yeah.
That was at Puckapunya. So we had a couple of SA guys and gals make the trek over. And Ultimate Club Driver this year was actually held in Victoria at the infamous Puckapunya track. Puckapunyul, yes. Yeah. Okay.
Eastern Lions Kart Club.
Yes. And have you heard of anything, picked up on anything in terms of who's doing what and where? I'm just trying to find it.
I looked at some results. Unfortunately, there was no South Australian winners were Ben Holiday in Tag Light and Levi Ross in Junior 4SS. Mm-hmm. Outside of that, South Australians unfortunately didn't go amazingly. Daniel Bowden, James Place in 4SS Heavy failed to make the podium. I think Wes Bowden finished second in 4SS Light.
Yeah, he did.
Christina Barone, I think, was around the 5th or 6th in 4SS Medium. And sort of unsure on other. I think Matthew Neitz was 4th in KA3 Senior Medium. Warren Neitz was maybe 3rd in Tag Restricted Heavy.
Yep.
But outside of that, I'm not sure on where everyone finished. But I just sort of had a quick browse this afternoon at the winners just to see how it had gone, and if there was anyone in from South Australia that was a standout. But it was a shame not to be there. Kind of handed my 2 silver plates over for free. It would have been good to be there to try and defend them and at least put up a fight for them. But didn't quite make it there this year.
That's all right. It's always Monado next year.
Is it going to be Monado next year?
Yeah, they're doing it. So it'll be Monado, then it was Puckapunya, that's Monado, and it's Puckapunya again.
Really? Just between those 2 clubs?
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm led to believe. So next year we'll do it all again. Yeah, we might even do it together. You never know.
Possibly.
Yeah. See what happens when you ditch me as an enduro driver? See, all the bad luck happens to you.
No, what I was last year then.
That was
one little chink in the radar in the armour. It's been a pretty faultless year otherwise.
Well, I tell you what, if you were going to get a donut, you did it in style. Let's put it that way. Your imperious run has come to an end. The priceless moment, though, for me, was seeing Nick's reaction when it happened, because we were standing there doing the getting ready for the driver change and seeing the Oracle's facial expressions. The poor guy's curly hair turned straight. His face went down, shook his head, and I said, mate, kick his ass. He's like, he put the moppers on us.
No, he didn't need to kick my ass. I was doing enough of that myself. And it was a pretty quiet Sunday night, that's for sure. But yeah, like I said, I think it was bigger than I thought it was on the day. I felt quite okay when I got out of the go-kart, but the rest of the week, this week's been a bit of hard work. So
Well, mate, you'd had enough momentum that you actually skated across the sand trap and went straight into the tyre barrier.
I missed the tyre barrier.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, no, I was only in the gravel.
Yeah, okay. But it was a fair way in.
Yeah, I cleared the track. So I cleared from the apex of the sweeper. I cleared the 8-10 metres or whatever it is. The track is wide. And first time I hit the ground was in the front of the sand. So unfortunately, if I'd landed a little bit earlier, I probably could have done something to save it, but I was well and truly in the gravel trap. And I don't know, I guess like if I had one piece of advice or criticism of the event, it would be to make sure that the rules around restarting the race are super clear. It was probably a little bit unclear, and I've been told on many occasions this week that within the rules I would have been able to roll the chain back, like get out of the go-kart, pull it out of the gravel, roll the chain back on and get going. So had I known that and not been told something different, or been told 3 or 4 different things, I probably would have got the chain back on and got going again. The kart was okay, besides the chain, and we probably wouldn't even have lost a lap. And then 5 laps later, the yellow lights came on, or full course yellow came out, so we would have been right back in the race again anyway. Yeah,
Anthony pulled up pretty rough with his accident with Jacob Chandler about halfway through the race as well. There's some nice damage on that Tony kart. It's the brake pedal itself has been completely ripped out of the kart. The front tyre rod's in a V. The actual rear, one of the tyres actually landed on his knee. Yeah. So he'd actually thought he did his knee when he was sitting in the kart for a while trying to get up. But that was really only to my knowledge, was the only major sort of accident as per se, where someone sort of walked away a little bit battered and bruised. But he's still not 100% as well, like you, like physically over the course of that week.
So I think like even Daniel Anderson, in our crash, he hurt his hand as well, and I know he was going off to get X-rays and stuff on his hand after the event. So there was a few war tales, that's for sure.
Yeah, but that race is just going to get bigger and bigger now if they stick with it, I think.
100%. Like, it was still so much fun, and even sitting on the sidelines, like, it was a great time, and a lot of first-timers found out, the importance of being on it in the pit stops and that sort of stuff. Daniel Price and Blake getting disqualified for getting a 5-lap penalty for jumping the minimum pit stop, and then you had Josh Elliston and Luca Polombaro going nearly a minute over the minimum pit stop time. So lots of people are going to learn some lessons. They'll come back next year even stronger, and it's going to be an even tougher race to win. So we're back to the jig. We're going to build another go-kart for next year as well, and
another Sprint Master.
Yeah. We're all over it. So this is one that we're going to have done all ourselves, and we're going to do some testing over the start of the new year, and it'll be a fast one, that's for sure.
What nickname are we going to give it now? We had Goldfinger. We had the Golden Child.
I'm sure we'll think of something when the kart comes out. Depends how fast it is.
Yeah, true. But I think all you're doing is you're just fixing up the lessons that you've learnt from the first two. So there you go. But while we're on karting, actually, we had the final round of the South Australian High-Kart Championship today at X-Karts Gawler. 300-lap endurance race. I'm going to feel it tomorrow, that's for sure. But we crowned... It was a cracking race. I think Harrison Gifford and Brandon Luna ended up winning over the Gerrits brothers by maybe a second or two, I think, at the most, and they were at it pretty much from flag drop to the end. So a great race overall. The venue was fantastic. Karts were good as well. So big thanks to sponsors TD Racing, Move Yourself Trailer Hire, and also the Red Mill Bakery for supporting the series and also the race this time around. And also, obviously, the Scuderia Ferrari Club for hosting the South Australian High-Kart Championship. We crowned 2 champions, Harrison Gifford being the inaugural light champion and Brandon Luna also being the inaugural heavy class champion as well. So the series will start again in 2024 with some I guess, with different variety of venues and obviously working with X-Karts and Pro Karts as well. So it's been great to be able to have those 2 facilities in particular being quite flexible and helping us out. So we're certainly looking forward to 2024, and kind of feels like the karting season's almost over now.
It pretty much is. They've got there's a club day at Bolivar, inter-club challenge between Bolivar and Go-Kart Club of SA in early December, and then I don't think it's going to be a very long break because Australia Day long weekend. We've got the I guess it's the shakedown without calling it a shakedown for the Nationals. So that's going to be huge, and I know that we've already got quite a team assembled under the Pro Karts banner for both of those race meetings. So yeah, while the season might be slowing down for some, it's certainly only just getting started for me, unfortunately. And then we'll get to December. We'll have a couple of days off for Christmas, and then I'll be straight back out to the track and more coaching, more setup work, more this and more that, and we'll get ready for round one of the Nationals at Bolivar on the 24th, 25th, 26th of February.
So they're going to be doing so Nationals obviously in February, but Australia Day is what, 2-day event?
Yeah, it's a 2-day event. I think it's Friday, Saturday.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. It gives everyone a chance to go home on the Sunday and get back for work and all that sort of stuff. So I'm expecting that meeting will be massive. That'll probably be as big as the state championship was. So the track's going to go rubber down for sure, being so hot in the middle of January as well. So yeah, it's going to be an epic meeting, and we've got some work to do between now and then as well. So I'm sure I'll be at the track a few days with Cody, getting prepared for the Nationals as well. And we've got some Sprint Master work to do there as well. I think we're going to field a kart in KA3 with the Sprint Master. So there's a bit to do.
Yeah. It's funny, Anthony was asking me the other day, because, you can actually enter Australia Day. I'm like, mate, we're in November. Let me worry about Australia Day. Come Australia Day.
I'll be very, very surprised if we get a class, to be honest, in 4SS.
I don't think we will.
But we'll see. We'll see. They've said that all classes are going to be offered, so let's see.
I won't hold my breath. That's all I'll say. Are we now off to a break at all? Or?
When you're ready.
All right. So we are off to a break, and then when we come back, we will talk Formula One.
Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners.
Prepare for a race day like no other at Pro Karts Race Centre, where racing excellence isn't just on the surface, it's in every detail. Your kart is more than a machine, it's a masterpiece of precision and performance. Our race mechanic services ensure your kart is finely tuned, race ready and expertly maintained. Leave the technical details to us while you focus on conquering the track. But we're not just mechanics, we're partners in your victory. Our skilled team provides on-site pit support during race meetings, ensuring that every element is in place for your success. At Pro Karts Race Centre, we're not just about the thrill of the race, we're about the joy of winning. Join us and experience racing excellence from the inside out. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Karaka. Pro Karts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the Motorsport Show. We are under the pump trying to cram a whole lot of stuff in. We have plenty to talk about. So, there's been 3 Grand Prix, one after the other. I think 2 actually that have recently just gone past. There's one in the midst of that we're in the middle of this weekend in Brazil. However, we will cover last week's Mexican Grand Prix, which was held at the Autodromo
Hermanos Rodriguez.
There you go. So here are some of the highlights of that race.
Green flag at the back. The long run to turn 1 is 5 lights away. And the Mexico City Grand Prix is go with a good reaction time for the Ferraris, but Max Verstappen is trying to dart between the pair of them. The slipstreaming that we normally see is not happening. Verstappen's got a good launch. He's already up to second. I reckon that's the race lead of the inside line. Checo Perez trying to go around the outside. He's made contact. He's made contact with Charles Leclerc into the first corner. Perez spins round. Leclerc goes over the road and takes back P1, but he overtook on the grass and he's got damage at the front of the car. Max Verstappen turns P3 on the grid to the lead in Mexico City. Dramatic opening corner of the lap as Daniel Ricciardo goes wheel to wheel with Lewis Hamilton. Ricciardo will stay ahead of the 7-time world champion into turn 5, but Hamilton getting on the power, trying to keep all 4 wheels on the road. He finds himself up a place to 5th position.
Great launch from both the Red Bull cars. No draft needed, no slipstream needed for Max Verstappen. Just split the Ferraris, and you see Checo Perez with that draft. Tries to go 3 wide and redo what Max did back in 21. Late on the brakes on the outside. but there's just not enough room. He tried to force the issue a little bit, tried to squeeze Leclerc down, but he had Verstappen on the inside of him. Maybe he didn't know they were 3 wide at the time.
And yeah, look, he drove straight down the middle of the racetrack there. No fault can be apportioned to Charles Leclerc. Meanwhile, Max, clean apex, not even locking up as he braked into the first turn. This is not good at all for Checo Perez.
So this is further back in the field. This is going to be the yellow flag, isn't it? This is going to be Yuki Tsunoda trying to overtake Kevin Magnussen. He knows he's got the speed in that car this weekend, but went outside of the power unit component allocations, late on the brakes, too late on the brakes. That was why we had the yellow flag. Over the road he goes and rejoins. Very tight.
Oh, is Hamilton going to take a look here?
Hamilton going deep to the inside, to the dirty part of the racetrack, and Hamilton makes the move that has been coming for a couple of laps now. He fights his way by.
Clean stop from the Red Bull crew, 2.4 seconds.
Our best bet is to extend and go optimal one stop. I agree. Copy. How many more laps you can do at this pace? Question.
For now, everything feels good. Everything is under control.
Might not be for Lando Norris going the long way round. Valtteri Bottas runs out of tyres. That is a tidy pass. That's the sort of thing you need to do if you're going to efficiently make your way through the field. You're seeing Lewis Hamilton on the side of your picture to see where he is in relation to the Ferrari team. 2.3 second stop is decent, but Lewis Hamilton is disappearing down the main straight. Lewis Hamilton came in earlier on to get the benefit for the fresher rubber, and he has track position over the Ferrari driver. Unusual for Lando Norris, because he's been fighting at the front for the last half of a season, but today he's fighting from the back. Not what he wanted to do, but these passes have been clean, and there's another one. Past Alex Albon and up to 8th place. We're on board with Kevin Magnussen around the final corner. Does he get wide through there? Oh, it's dusty and dirty out there if you get wide. And K-Mag taking the route that I took to the commentary box. And he was lucky with all the marbles, all the dust, to keep it pointing in the right direction. We go on board with a man from Monaco about to hit his marks. The team will go to work. How quickly can they service the car? Brand new hard tyres being bolted on. 2.4 is strong once again. And Kevin Magnussen has had a big crash. Kevin Magnussen off a moment ago. This time he's off again, but far more significant. And on lap 33 of 71, Magnussen finds the barriers, and this could change the complexion of the Grand Prix.
Something let go.
Yeah.
Something let go for sure.
Failure on that car.
Oh, you can see it.
There you go. Left rear.
Had the wide moment on the exit at turn 17, and then into the barriers at turn 8 on the next lap. The red flag is understandably flying around this circuit. The barrier is damaged. Most importantly, the driver is okay, but a big impact with the wall for Kevin Magnussen. Here come the lights for the second start of the Mexico City Grand Prix. And the race is on once again. Max Verstappen will cut across Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc is under pressure, though, for Lewis Hamilton. Great reaction time for Carlos Sainz. Sainz wasn't able to do anything with it. And now Daniel Ricciardo is looking to try and go down the inside. No one's been able to get past Max Verstappen, who leads into turn 1. Then it's Charles Leclerc. Then it's Lewis Hamilton. Sainz makes his way through. And it's Russell who gets past Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo doesn't want to give it up, though. And they will make their way through turn 3. It was mighty close, though.
Just horrific start from Lando Norris. Was slow off the line and lost, 4 spots. He was really the big loser on that one. So all the progress that Norris had made so far in the race has been undone as side by side here.
Hamilton to the inside. Hamilton to second position. He gets past Charles Leclerc. The crowd no longer have Sergio Perez to clear, but they enjoyed that move at the first turn of the racetrack. Hamilton going for that medium tyre early. Oh, it's going to be very tight. Contact between the two of them. Yuki Tsunoda trying to get past Oscar Piastri. Piastri on a different part to the racetrack. It is dirty and dusty off the racing line. Driving on his mirrors now, the rookie Australian Yuki Tsunoda trying to force a way by. These hard tyres could allow him to attack in the final stages of this Grand Prix.
Maybe I was a bit early with was there contact or not. Certainly we had Oscar. Oh, yeah, there was. Tyre-to-tyre touch there.
Oh, and this is tight once again. It's contact once again. And round goes Yuki Tsunoda. Contact at turn 2 the lap before. Contact this time at turn 1. Alpha Tauri are so desperate to put 2 cars in the points, but that chance has disappeared. Around around the outside of turn number 4 to get the apex for 5. Lando Norris goes past another car. What a cameo he is having in this second part of the Grand Prix. Is this going to be the swap? The answer is yes. They swap positions.
Yeah, that was smart from Oscar as well. Having a small lift just backing off on the straight cost you much less time than you would imagine.
We're on board with the British driver up against his old teammate who's starting Grand Prix 246 today. So he knows how to defend down into turn number 4. Norris trying to go all the way around the outside of 4, inside of 5. Another move completed. What a second stint this has been in the Grand Prix. And we see Lando Norris forcing his rival off the racing line to parts of the racetrack he doesn't want. Tries the up and under. Is it going to be another classic move? Elbows out. Lando Norris has done it again. The crowd adore it. It's another fine overtake and a great way to take 5th place. Into the 13th corner, and that is going to be a spin round for Lance Stroll, and Bottas making contact with the Aston Martin, and that is clumsy stuff, but great action for the 30,000 sat in this part of the racetrack. It's going to be the sweetest 16th victory of the season for Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen wins the Mexico City Grand Prix. Across the line for second place comes Lewis Hamilton with the fastest lap on the 71st and last tour to take another podium. Just a 4th podium finish of the season for Charles Leclerc. And a topsy-turvy race in the end claimed by Max Verstappen. Bold move at the start to turn P3 into the lead. On lap 1, he never looked back. Lewis Hamilton with a fine pass for second place. Charles Leclerc returning to the podium for only the 4th time this year.
Hello, everybody. My name's Charlotte Lemieux, and we're going to be talking about Formula 1. I'll pass you on to Lee.
Thank you very much.
She's a natural.
Apprentice Charlotte, we might kick your dad out of a job. You've got such a voice that can help me on this caper.
Good on you, sweetheart.
So we'll go through the results in the Mexican Formula 1 Grand Prix. First, Max Verstappen doing what he does. Second, Lewis Hamilton. Third, Charles Leclerc. Fourth, Carlos Sainz. Fifth, Lando Norris. Sixth, George Russell. Seventh, Daniel Ricciardo. 8th, Oscar Piastri. 9th, Alex Albon. 10th, Esteban Ocon. In 11th, Pierre Gasly. 12th, Yuki Tsunoda. 13th, Nico Hulkenberg. 14th, Guan Yu Zhou. 15th, Valtteri Bottas. 16th, Logan Sargent. 17th, Lance Stroll. 18th, Fernando Alonso. Kevin Magnussen in 19th. And Sergio Perez in 20th in his home race.
Wow. You and Sergio swapped notes that week, did you?
Well, he went around the outside. I tried to go on the inside at least.
Sergio Harrison will call you from now on instead of Lewis.
Well, I'd done my racing before he'd done his,
yeah,
so
true.
he was copying me. Like, I don't know what's with Formula 1 drivers want to copying me. Max Verstappen winning all year, copying me, and now Sergio Perez
here we go.
launching himself into oblivion. But yeah, I guess that's the biggest talking point of the race. Perez, again, making sure that that age-old adage, you can't win the race in the first corner, but you certainly can lose it, still rings true.
Yeah, do you see how passionate, how crazy the Mexican crowd went after the accident? It was like all in brawl at that in the grandstand or whatever.
Perez fan going after a Leclerc or a Ferrari fan, like it was pretty gnarly stuff. But
I feel sorry for Charles. Like he's literally the meat in the sandwich. And, I mean, who'd want to qualify on pole or on the front row of Mexico? You're just a sitting duck.
Yeah.
You know?
It's such a long drag down to turn 1. But Max made it happen and got around the outside and then held him off in the restart as well. So I guess it goes to show that if you do get off the line well, you can still hold them off. Yeah,
absolutely. But, yeah, Sergio is it's symbolic of his season, isn't it, really? Anything that the guy tries to do well, it just turns into a disaster.
Yeah.
And to do it in front of his home fans as well, with all that hype, all that pressure as well, that's a catastrophic failure. And then further down the garage, you've got Danny Rick that's just wound the Alpha Tower out in 4th position.
Yeah, well, he qualified in 4th and then ended up finishing the race in 7th and put in a pretty gutsy drive to do so. He's heaping the pressure on Perez, and I think that's the catalyst for a move like that from Perez. He knows the pressure that he's under, and look, you got to give him credit. And like Christian Horner said, you can't lay him at fault for having a go. He's got to throw it all on the line. Sorry for keeping you up over here, Charlotte. That's okay. But to want to have to go for a move like that, it shows the position that he's in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, why even go? I mean, you can commend him for having a crack, but he's on the outside going into a corner that's left, right, and who's he going to line up alongside with? His teammate.
Well, if he probably didn't think that Max was there, to be honest. And if it's him and Charles going in there, then that's all he thinks. Then he thinks he's got a little bit more room. Like I'm sure he expected Charles to be able to turn in earlier than he did, and unfortunately, Charles had no other option than to keep going straight because Max was there. So, it was just do or die. Checo under pressure in front of his home crowd, wanting to give some sort of energy to his race, and the only energy that he gave was to the crashing and smashing of his side pod and taking himself out of the race.
And the rattle guns were creating the energy of getting the nuts off the wheels.
Exactly right. Norris, he had a strong recovery, qualified 17th and then fought back to 5th, and obviously got some help with the restart and being able to put on the preferred tyre after the red flag for Magnussen's suspension failure, but still pretty solid drive coming back from 17th.
Yeah, it just shows just how wrong they got it in qualifying. McLaren is arguably has been the second best car in pretty much the back half of this year. But it just goes to show, really, again, like Red Bull in particular on the Max side of the garage, it's metronomic.
Yeah, well, it's not even so much getting it wrong. I think they were caught out by Fernando having a spin, and I mean, you can go back to Crashgate as many times as you want and say that Fernando sort of did that to try and hamper Norris's run and keep him out of getting a better qualifying time, because there's those two teams that are going at it in the Constructors' Championship for 4th place. But yeah, it just goes, they were on the wrong end of that yellow flag, and Norris had to give a abortion to that lap, and that sort of stopped him from piling up the grid. But when the time came to shove on Sunday, he put his head down and got on with it. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think for Danny Rick as well, with that qualifying performance, it was timely, because Liam Lawson's given him a massive dose of whatever to think about. So to come out and actually land it on 4th was very, very timely. And then obviously the events that happened on Sunday too was just ironic as well.
Like you said, Liam did a great job and put himself, in the fray for whatever happens next as well. So that heaped a whole heap of pressure on Danny Rick to come back and perform straight away. And I don't think there's any critics in the house that would say that he hasn't done that. The 2 races that he's done since being back. Sure, the first one at Austin was a bit of a reacquaintance run, but it wasn't anything shy of, rubbish. So he definitely played his part for the team and became the sacrificial lamb for that race after a poor first couple of laps. But the race in the qualifying and the race in Mexico definitely firmed it up, and Perez obviously not doing himself any favours as well. So it's going to be super interesting. Now it's real close between Hamilton and Perez in the championship. I think it's down to 13 points, and if it hadn't been for the disqualification in Austin, I think they'd be tied on points between Hamilton and Perez. So Red Bull have always said that Perez is safe as long as he's occupying second place in the Drivers' Championship, and I don't think he's going to finish there in the season.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Mercedes have since they've run that modified floor with let's call it the trial 2024 floor, they've certainly upped their game, and in particular it favours Lewis a little bit more than I'd say George. But the momentum is all within Mercedes at the moment, even the sprint race. Well, not really in the sprint race last night, but in Brazil, where Mercedes struggled a little bit. But as a whole, Lewis has definitely got the more momentum, and you if you're a betting man, you'd probably put your money behind Lewis actually getting second.
Yeah, absolutely. The new floor, like you said, giving him more downforce, more drivability. I think both drivers are liking it a lot more than the previous iteration of the car, but they've definitely come along in leaps and bounds. It'd be interesting to see how the race goes in Brazil tomorrow morning. See if that translates again. It doesn't seem like they've got the qualifying pace, but it seems like it's done wonders for their race pace, and that's where they've shown the absolute improvement over the last 2 races in particular. Even Austin, they didn't qualify that well. I think they were 5th and 6th or something along those lines, and same again with Mexico. They weren't up the front, but they were fast in the race when it came to matter.
Yeah. I think, see the rain clouds in Brazil?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
It was
went straight to dark.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost like someone flicked a switch.
Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
Solid. And then some videos of like the grandstands having the roofs blown off of them and stuff as well. Like it's been pretty gnarly that Friday for qualifying. But your guys in Ferrari, they've got plenty of one lap pace. It seems like the race pace isn't there, especially when it comes to bolting that hard tyre on. They can't seem to fire it up, so they've got some work to do in that regard, considering that hard tyre seems to be getting used more and more often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So my prediction would be more of the same. I think another Max win. Maybe Lewis might fight through, and because he finds a 8th gear when it comes to Brazil. But Ferrari would be more or less the same. Start well, fade out, and away we go. We're off to a break, and then when we come back, what are we going to do first? MotoGP, around the world, mailbag, whatever you want. We've got too many to try and fit in.
We'll play that card when we get there.
Yeah, all right, we'll be back shortly.
A huge thank you goes out to our podium partner, Prokarts Race Centre, and our incredible sponsors. Your partnership allows us to continue bringing you this show and dive deeper into the world of motorsports. If your business adds value to the motorsport community, get in touch with us to become a Negative Camber partner.
Get ready to ignite your racing passion at Prokarts Race Centre, your ultimate destination for motorsport excellence. Our track isn't just a playground, it's a classroom where 25 years of racing knowledge come to life. Imagine having a team of seasoned experts guiding you from the rookie to the pro. Our driver coaching services aren't just about finding those elusive extra tenths on the track, they're about moulding winners. With hands-on guidance, racing line tips and data analysis, you'll not only experience the thrill of speed, but the satisfaction of victory. Join us and witness the transformation of your racing game as our expertise propels you to the forefront of the competition. Visit prokartsracecentre.com.au or pop in for a chat at 30 Research Road, Paraka. Prokarts Race Centre, fueling your passion, igniting your potential.
Welcome back to Negative Camber, the motorsport show. Hopefully you're enjoying the final portion of it, and it's been actually quite a jam-packed show with the Glitter Gang, and Lee obviously covering Formula One and talking about karting as well. So for our next segment, I think we'll just do a little bit of mailbag because I've got plenty of mail, Lee. I had someone that's just been giving me a few anonymous questions actually, there's about 1, 2, but they're quite lengthy, so it might even be 3 or 4. So I'll start with the first one. With the recent announcement of the pink plate in Victoria in January 24, it got me thinking how South Australia really isn't as proactive as some other states in supporting, promoting, encouraging females in karting or acknowledging them. Should our local clubs be doing more?
I think it's not necessarily a pink plate for Adelaide, a pink plate for Melbourne, a pink plate for Sydney. I think that's a Karting Australia thing. So I think then that the drivers need to support it better, and it needs to then become something that Karting Australia look to diversify around the country. So I don't think it's up to the clubs or each individual state body to promote it any differently. I think it's on Karting Australia. You know, they've got the Ultimate Club Racer, they've got this summer series, they've got the Nationals. Why not? Why can't they have a ladies event that they promote, nationally and move the race around the country, where they can then promote inclusivity in the sport on a national basis.
Yeah, agree. Could our end-of-year presentation dinners also include some kind of ladies' award trophy for each club champion, or should it be a category of the Festival State Cup? And at the end of the 5 series, the females with the highest points across all classes are acknowledged. Mildura, for example, had a ladies' award on offer at their titles earlier in the year and really promoted it throughout to encourage girls to enter the event.
Yep. Yeah, again, that's, the Nationals do have a ladies' trophy, so I can't see why we couldn't incorporate that into the Festival State Cup. It's administratively, I think there would need to be some protocol around that. how hard is it to score points in each particular class? For someone to score points in a field with only 2 or 3 drivers in it versus someone to score points with 10, 11 or 12 drivers in it. How's that formula worked out? How is it distributed? Is it a ladies award for each sort of age category? So there's a lot of questions there, but I can see that there's definitely a place where it could be installed into the Festival State Cup. Or I don't think at club level it's got a need. I think it would be definitely more put to that Festival State Cup / state level.
Yeah, I agree. I think certainly we look at something like Festival State Cup and maybe, but
or maybe even over the course of the whole year. Like it's at a state level, but it doesn't come from Southern Go-Kart Club Ladies Champion. It doesn't come from Monado Go-Kart Club or Go-Kart Club of SA Ladies Champion or Barossa Go-Kart Club Ladies Champion. Maybe every point accumulated over the course of all of the club days, all of the Festival State Cup rounds, all of the state championship rounds, all of the City of Adelaide's. Maybe that's how it's awarded, and then that helps drive inclusivity and participation in all the local events, because there's something for those people to go after as well.
Another question. The future of cadets in South Australia. It's been said many times, we need to recruit from the bottom to build the sport. The Cadet 12s will be losing 3 more competitors that we know of at the end of the year, much earlier than expected, to the juniors because they've all outgrown their karts. They are too tall. So this now leaves a huge gap in our cadet competitors for South Australia. Is this a common thing? Do other states experience the same thing, or do we just breed them big here in SA? The sport needs to be safe for all competitors, but I'm wondering, what is the alternative? The difference in a cadet kart to a junior is huge. The weight alone is massive for a young 11-year-old to manage. What are your thoughts?
Yep, that's a great question. I don't think we'd do it any differently here. I think we definitely have a smaller pool of drivers to choose from, though. So while in somewhere like, say, Victoria, there's probably still 7 or 8 junior cadet 12s that go up to juniors, they're still pulling from a pool of 27 cadet 9s that are coming up to cadet 12 to fill the gap. So I think... and we've said it a lot before that we need to try and do more to encourage people to get into the sport, and whether that's more of the come and try days, more of the junior sprocket programs attending here from Karting Australia, places like ourselves at ProKarts Paraka, ProKarts Race Centre, doing our initiatives with our cadet lease program. We may have another 2 cadets joining the ranks of the cadet 9s next year, and then it sort of just goes from there, So I think everyone needs to do more, need to try and promote more come and try days, definitely. And that, that's, the clubs need help. The clubs need volunteers to help do that at a time that works for everyone. So yeah, we need to build the base. I don't think the weight thing in the karts is not as massive as some think. Yep. Most cadets or most juniors now go into a senior go-kart, and so the go-kart itself actually weighs the difference between the cadet kart and the senior kart, makes up most of the difference in the weight. So it's not as massive as it seems. So yeah, I think like the real issue comes from building the base of the sport back up, and we just need to look at how we do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe more of an education piece for the parents to understand what's involved. Ultimately, they're the ones that are going to be funding it, so it's really kind of tapping into these parents that have thought about it, considered it. What's stopping them? Is it they're fearful of the expense factor? And look, it's not cheap exercise, let's be honest, but is it an education piece, or do we steer them down the path of a more cost-effective setup like the 4-stroke juniors, for example, as an entryway, and actually use that as the primary feeder initially and get them up to speed with that? So that way all the parents have to worry about is learning how to do, the geometry of a front end or something like that. They don't have to worry about the maintenance aspects of, tuning a 2-stroke, for example, and doing all that sort of stuff. So I actually think the pieces are there in front of us. I think it's actually the clubs putting their egos aside and not worrying about 2-stroke all the time, and just drive people to the sport on a cost-effective category that's gonna drive it forward and actually start to bring people in there. Because the amount of people that I've even spoken to today that the SA hire karts, that they like the hire kart championship aspect of it because they're either not mechanically inclined and they don't have the money to go in and do the 2-stroke stuff, but they're not really sure about how to do a setup even on a 4-stroke kart, so that actually fills that void. And I think the answer's there. It's just making sure that all the clubs in Karting SA actually steer it down that path, because once they outgrow the cadet or the junior 4-stroke, then they can enter 2-stroke if they wish. So the options are there. I just think they've got to park the egos to one side and just go down that path and actually support it. The answers are there.
Yep.
Yeah. So, thank you for the mailbag. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Keep sending those questions through. There's no such thing as dumb question. Happy to make everyone feel anonymous. Shoot me an inbox or shoot Lee an inbox, or even send us an email, podcast@negativecamber.co. You can even jump onto our Facebook page and send us a private message as well. And even go onto our website. So it's www.negativecamber.co. You can see our lovely faces there in the orange. You can even buy some merchandise as well. So, send those questions through. It'd be good to have you. And I think that's it. I think we're done. I'm done.
I've got a quick trip around the world.
Hey, why not? Why not? Let's end the show on a high and do a trip around the world.
Be rude to end the show without doing around the world. So
I think so.
2 races have been run and won as the chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series now enters the final stage, and the championship contenders have been whittled down to just the 4 drivers. Races were held at Homestead Miami Speedway and Martinsville Speedway, and there were wins for Christopher Bell and Ryan Blaney as both drivers locked themselves into the Championship 4 to join Kyle Larson and William Byron. In Miami, it was not an easy race for Christopher Bell, and at one point he found himself in danger of going a lap down as he and his team struggled for pace in the race. Bell and his number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing team struggled for much of the race, and I've put that in there twice. However,
you're only human, Harry.
Yeah, they found themselves almost a lap down. However, a string of cautions in the final 267 laps knocked several playoff contenders out of the race and put Bell back in the hunt for the win. He took the lead for the first time on a restart on lap 230, lost it pretty quickly, but then reclaimed it from William Byron with 15 to go. Bell then held off a late charge from Ryan Blaney and edged him by 1.6 seconds to earn his second win of the 2023 season and his first in the playoffs. At Martinsville, it was Blaney who ran down Aric Almirola and secured a timely victory that sends him into the Final Four for the first time. Playing it safe, Blaney and several other lead lap cars waited to make their final pit stop well within their fuel window, while Almirola and Chase Elliott were among those that pitted earlier in the hope for more late race cautions. Instead, the race ended with an unusual 168-lap green flag run, and Blaney, on fresher tyres, ran down Almirola with 22 laps to go, going on his outside and clearing him for the lead off turn 4. Blaney then held off Almirola by just under a second at the checkered flag to secure the critical victory, which automatically advanced him to the Final Four of the playoffs and the chance to race for the series title when the championship concludes tomorrow morning Australian time at Phoenix. With Larson, Bell, Blaney and Byron, it is the youngest championship 4 since the inception of the new format in 2004. In Craftman Truck Series news, Christian X won the final race held at Phoenix, but it was not enough to stop Ben Rhodes from becoming a 2-time champion in the series, while in the Xfinity Series it was Cole Custer who won the final race and along with it also became the Xfinity Series champion. In World of Outlaws, 3 nights of racing have been held at the dirt track in Charlotte as the series concluded in spectacular fashion. A late championship rally by David Gravel, which saw him win one of the 3 final nights, was not enough to overcome the series points lead of Brad Sweet. Sweet, who fittingly won the final night of racing, was also crowned champion for the 5th consecutive year. Moto 2, Moto 3, where they were in action alongside the MotoGP round held in Thailand. The 19-lap Moto 3 race kicked off proceedings on Sunday at the Chang International Circuit, with Aspar rookie David Alonso scoring his 4th win of the season. But the big story was the crash of title contender Ayumi Sasaki, with Leopard Honda's Jaume Masia finishing 4th. He's extended his championship lead to 17 points with 3 rounds remaining. Alonso's victory puts him firmly into title contention as well, 25 points adrift of Masia. In the 22-lap Moto2 contest, speed-up Furman Aldegar dominated by 3.4 seconds over championship leader Pedro Acosta. Home hero Somokot Chantra also completed the podium for Honda Team Asia, while Mark VDS's Tony Arbolino was 4th to keep his slim title hopes alive. IO KTM's Acosta is now 63 points clear of Arbolino heading to the Malaysian GP next week. Aussie racing cars, Shane Van Gisbergen added to his CV of wins outside of supercars this weekend when he took a clean sweep of the Battery World Aussie Racing Car Series held at Highlands Motorsport Park in New Zealand. South Australian Joel Heinrich, fresh off of 2 wins at the Australian Dirt Kart titles, took championship honours, his second championship win after also winning the series in 2018. And finally, in WRC, Carle Rovanpera clinched a second World Rally Championship title with a round to spare at the Central European Rally, which was won by Hyundai's Thierry Neuville. Neuville claimed the spoils in the inaugural 3-country asphalt rally that saw the WRC compete across the Czech Republic, Austria and Germany in one event for the first time. The Belgian took his second victory of the season by 57.6 seconds from Rovanpera. However, the result was enough for Rovanpera and co-driver Joni Aaltonen to become only the 6th pairing in WRC history to defend the world title after Toyota teammate and rival Elfyn Evans failed to outscore the 23-year-old Finn. The podium was completed by M Sport's Ott Tanek, who finished a minute 52 behind Neuville.
Job well done, mate. And I think that is a wrap for Negative Camber for this week. We will be back in a fortnight's time and with more sport to follow. MotoGP, V8 Supercars, Adelaide 500 preview. Plenty to cover. Keep those emails coming through. Keep those messages coming through.
You've reached the checkered flag of another episode of Negative Camber the Motorsport Show, proudly brought to you by Pro Karts Race Centre. A huge thank you to you, our incredible listeners. Your support and passion for motorsports fuels our enthusiasm to bring you the latest results, analysis, and interviews from the racing world. Keep that FOMO at bay by subscribing to Negative Camber on your favourite podcast platform. We'd also love it if you could leave us a review and share the show with your fellow racing enthusiasts. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, Negative Camber is more than just a podcast. We're a community of dedicated fans who live and breathe motorsports. Follow us on socials, join us on our website, negativecamber.co, and be sure to subscribe to the Negative Camber Club for access to exclusive content, episode previews, and special deals from our amazing partners. Until next time, stay fueled with passion, embrace the Negative Camber, and keep chasing those podium finishes.
Love this podcast? Support it and sponsor today. Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.